Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. In this video, I'm going to tell you about Sara Sherif, this little girl, 10 years old. And the reason I'm going to be talking about Sara is last year, Sara was found deceased at her home in Woking in the UK. And this week, the trial starts for her own father, her stepmother, and her uncle. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, let's chat. Right, just before I continue with that, just want to let you know I am actually here, and I recorded this video earlier, and I was going to put it out as a premiere, but I'm actually here. But I have got a class shortly, so I don't know how long I'll be here. But this video is, self-contained, let's say. Thanks for all being here. So, little Sara Sherif. Let's put a picture of her up in the corner so that we're always reminded of Sara as we're talking about this case. Now, I covered this case right from the beginning, from when Sara was unfortunately found in her own home. Just always seems a bit worse, doesn't it, when things happen to people in their own homes, because your home is the place that you should feel safe. If you're not safe at home, you're just not safe anywhere, are you? So let me give you the background to this case, and I'm reading this from Wikipedia because it just gives me the details of the dates, etc. So let's see. So Sara was 10, and Sara's parents were separated. Sara's mum actually is Polish, and for some unknown reason, which I'm not quite sure, she did not get custody of Sara. When the couple split up. So Sara was born on the 11th of January in 2013 in Slough in Berkshire. And she died on the 10th of August 2023 at only 10 years old in Woking in Surrey. Let's have a look at Woking, where it is. It's not far from Slough, where Sara was born. It's not far from Reading, where I used to live. So here's London. London always gives us, so this is the United Kingdom we're talking about. London always gives us a context, doesn't it, for most people, even if they don't know the UK very well, they know more or less where London is, because London is the capital. And we can see that Woking is just outside. Like, we've been over this way a few times lately, in Basildon, Essex, etc. This time we're coming to the other side of London, the left-hand side, and we're going to Woking. And this is where Sara's body was found, alone in her home. Because what happened was Sara's stepmother and father fled. They fled to I won't pronounce it correctly. They fled to, let me find out, Islamabad in Pakistan. They fled there, and then they rang the police to say, to ask them to go round to their house. So they had already left the country with 5 other children. 5 other children. So Sarah was born on the 11th of January in Slough, Berkshire. Her father is Sara Sherif, who is a Pakistani Muslim taxi driver who moved to the UK in 2001. Her mother is Olga, a Polish Catholic. So they got married in 2009, and in 2010 they had a son. And they separated in 2015 and later divorced. Now, the children at first lived with Olga, but in 2019, custody of them was awarded to Irfan. Now, I don't know why. It's very unusual, isn't it? This is Sarah's mum, Olga. And of course, this is her father there on the extreme left. Why was Olga not given custody? Maybe she didn't have anywhere proper to live. Maybe she was going through some issues. But it's very unusual, isn't it, for a father to be awarded custody unless there's some reason why the mother can't, I don't know, why the mother can't have them. So I don't know the reason in this case. So apparently Olga objected to the children being brought up as Muslims, and she had little contact with her children during the time they lived in Woking. Sarah was known to social services, and in April 2023 she was taken out of primary school due to being bullied for wearing the hijab, and was homeschooled for her stepmother. I mean, it's quite ironic, isn't it, that she's taken out of school for being bullied for wearing a hijab and then ends up being, murdered. And not only that poor Sara was found deceased, but she had catastrophic injuries to her body that had been done over a period of time, not just, that whatever incident happened where she died. She had a catalogue of injuries. So she'd been taken. So the police said that Sara had, this is how you might see Sara towards the end of her life, rather than when she was with Olga, etc., and she was dressing in a Western way. But when she went to live with her father, she was dressed more, in the traditional Muslim way with the hijab, etc. She's such a pretty little girl. Yeah, I did find these pictures a bit concerning, to be honest, because it looked like she was sort of dressed up for what? Is she being advertised for marriage? I mean, what's going on? Or was she just then? Well, it seems like the other little girl that's at the side of her is dressed in the same outfit, so maybe not. Maybe it was fiesta, party time or something like that. But I don't know. And on this picture, I think this picture will haunt me forever because she just looks so serene. And when we know now what was going through her life, how she was being treated, or how apparently she was being treated, because the reason I'm doing this video today is because the trial of these 3 twonks starts today. And so I'm going to give you a refresher of what happened, and let's hope there is justice for Sara. So yeah, apparently she was known to social services. How many times does that happen? I mean, I know the social services, they're not, perfect. I know they're limited a lot of the time to what they can do, but just seems so many cases where it says, oh, they were known social services, and then these poor little children end up, dying. Anyway, her body was found at her residence on Hammond Road, Horsell, during the early hours of 10th of August. And the Surrey police identified Irfan Sharif, his partner Bainash Batul, and his brother Faisal Malik as persons of interest. They had all fled for Islamabad, Pakistan on the 9th of August, a day before Sara's body was found. So I expect during the trial, we'll find out more. Maybe we'll get the 911 call, 999 call, find out a few more details of how they let the police know that Sara was there. So they went with 5 children. So there were 5 other children in their care. Anyway, on the 15th of August, a post-mortem was carried out, which discovered that she had suffered numerous and severe injuries over an extended period of time. And the exact cause of her death is still undetermined. But according to the inquest, it is unlikely that it was a natural occurrence. Now, we're going to see in the video we're going to watch in a moment that Sara's stepmother described it as an incident. Sara's death was an incident, not accident, incident. We're going to see that in a moment. So the children were recovered. Police raided the house of Irfan's father in Pakistan, and the children were recovered and put in care. So the children are in care, I presume, to this day, unless family have stepped forward to claim them. I don't know. So there was an international manhunt to try and find these people. Anyway, finally, I think what happened, I think we can read between the lines and realise that what happened in Pakistan was nobody, as the word got round, nobody wanted to hide them anymore. They were obviously hiding maybe in families' houses or whatever. And I think what happened was it just got, once people realised that this was a murder case, people sort of disowned them. Even their own family didn't want to hide them anymore. Now, apparently, there is no official extradition agreement in place between the United Kingdom and Pakistan. So after the police made a request for new information, urging anyone who had contact with her to come forward with information, the suspects themselves voluntarily returned. On the 13th of September, they returned to Gatwick and they were arrested immediately that they disembarked the flight from Pakistan. And they were all charged with murder, along with an additional charge of causing or allowing the death of a child. So this is it. This is the trial now that's starting a year later. So I just want to show you, because at the time that this was all happening, I did quite a few videos. So what I want to show you is the video that I made of because they bizarrely, while they were in Pakistan, they did this, they did a video, that they released. And it's actually the stepmother by now talking. The father never says a word. Now, they say he can't speak English. But, you think, God, he lived in England long enough. He'd married a Polish woman. He wasn't talking to her in Polish, was he? And I doubt if he was talking to her in Urdu. So surely they were talking, he and that Polish wife of his, surely they were conversing in English, because that would be the only common language they had. Sometimes people use the fact, say they can't speak English. It's like convenient, isn't it? I feel I've seen that, I think, with Rachel Marin over in America with her murderer. I think he's probably perfectly capable of speaking English. But we saw when he was being arrested, he was pretending he couldn't speak English. It's an easy thing to do to buy time. Means that the police have to get interpreters, etc. Anyway, it doesn't matter really, because it was the stepmother making. It was the stepmother that was homeschooling the 5 children. Sometimes homeschooling. I understand that a lot of my family homeschool their children. for various reasons. Normally it's because of autism or something like that, isn't it? Or problems at school for whatever reason, anxiety. And I'm not against homeschooling per se, but I do think sometimes there's a bit of a red light. I think even though someone's been homeschooled, they still should have to have regular checkups by schools or by authorities, because it's so easy. If children are going to school, it's harder to hide signs of abuse, etc., isn't it? But if they're being homeschooled, they should still be being checked on. Maybe that's why they were in the attention of the social services, but they should be, they should be regularly, checked over as well for bruises and things like that. I mean, would that have helped Sara? If I don't know in what capacity the social services were involved, but it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? There's always more could have been done, and I know it's easy in hindsight, but this little girl, Sara, she lost her life because of not only the negligence of her own parents, but the negligence of social services not to realise how serious the situation was. And I know social services get a bad press, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in social services do their best, but you just feel like there's something lacking. Do people really care about children enough, or does our society care enough about children to try and protect them? It just seems to happen so often, doesn't it? And we have these little faces looking out at us too late, But I know it's difficult. I do know that from experience. It's difficult to, even when you know that something's going on, or you suspect that something's going on, it's very difficult to report it. There's a lot of different issues in your head. There's one, you're thinking, well, what will happen to them? They're going to care, and will they be any better off in care? And then who do you report it to? And, in my own particular case that I'm thinking of, I live near this person that I suspected was, abusing in some way. There's a lot of different types of abuse. I'm not talking about sex abuse or even physical abuse, but just that there was something wrong in this household for various reasons. So in the end, and this was while I was in Spain, I didn't know if there was an anonymous line you could call. So in the end, I told the school and I said, look, I asked them, is there somewhere you can ring if you think something might be a bit untoward in a household? And the headmaster at the time at the school, which was the school my son went to as well, said, look, if you think you know something about one of my pupils being, mistreated, I'll take care of it. And I told him the details. And to cut a long story short, that particular child was taken during school time to the local health centre and checked out. Now, no visible injuries. So, but it brought it under attention of the social services. Anyway, so it goes into a much longer story, which I won't go into because, it's not fair to the child's. Probably she's not a child anymore, but probably wouldn't want it being discussed. Anyway, it's complex, isn't it? So what I'm trying to say is it's difficult because it went through a lot for me to do that. And that you're going through this thing in your head. Do you report them? Don't you report them? What do you think's going? How, and also living very close to this person, and the person was a very aggressive person. And I was living on my own, not far away from them, with my own son only being about 2 years old at the time, 3. So, you've got all those things because you still have to live next to them. That's why I wanted to do it anonymously. I'm glad that I did now, because things that came out later, there was definitely problems, let's say. But anyway, it's all resolved now. So it's difficult. It's difficult. So if someone's homeschooling their child, they're not even getting the attention of the school, you know, to the teachers to notice. So let's have a look at this video of what the video that the parents released. It's ridiculous, really, when you think about it. Don't know why they did this. Yeah, my hair looks a right mess. I personally find this video chilling because I do feel there's domestic violence in this relationship. The partner, the father, because this is not the mother of Sara, this is the stepmother. Sara's mother is Eastern European, and Sara was taken off her and given to the father for custody, which makes you wonder, you know, that's unusual, isn't it? For a mother not to get custody of a child is very unusual. There's got to be something, you know. Yeah, that's what I said last time. Really bad, hasn't they? So, but I don't know what that is. I don't know much about Sara's mother, but she's obviously devastated that now Sara is dead. But we're going to have a look at this video that's been released by the stepmother.
Firstly, I would like to talk about Sara. Sara's death.
Now, what chills me is the father is sitting next to her. He's not saying anything. The stepmother is talking. Now, the father just looks terrifying. To me, he looks terrifying. I'm terrified of him just watching him on the video. You know, so I expect we'll find out in the trial some more details. Was she being under coercive control, or is she just as much a twonk as him? But he does look pretty scary. Oh, you tell me what you think, but there's... Anyway.
Firstly, I would like to talk about Sara. Sara's death was an incident. Our family in Pakistan are severely...
Sarah's death was an incident. Maybe she meant accident.
Affected by all that is going on. All the media have been giving wrong statements and making up lies. Imran did not give a statement that Sara fell down the stairs and broke her neck. This was spread through a Pakistani media outlet. All of our family members have gone into hiding as everyone is scared for their safety. The kids are unable to attend school as they're afraid to leave the house. No one is leaving the house. The groceries have run out and there is no food for the kids as...
So the kids are frightened of leaving the house. Oh my God, that's resonant of why they took Sarah out of school. So she was being bullied for wearing the hijab. And now they're saying the kids are frightened. So them poor kids are stuck in the house. I don't know if they were with them or they'd gone somewhere else. They're obviously covering up where they are. They've put a curtain up in the background or they're in front of a curtain. Looks like they might, I don't know where they are when they're giving this statement. But you can bet he's probably written it, but he's leaving it to her to read out. It just gives me the creeps so much. You know, maybe she's as complicit as him, I don't know, but just something about him, isn't there?
The adults are unable to leave their homes out of fear of safety. That is why we have gone into hiding. Lastly, we are willing to cooperate with the UK authorities and fight our case in court.
Yeah, so who do you think's...
Firstly, I would like...
Who do you think's written that? Because she's reading that off a pad. He's just sat there looking at her sideways. So they're saying that... we're prepared to, you know, fight our case in court. Why did they leave in the first place then? You know, they fled to Pakistan. Why didn't, when if it was an accident, nothing to see here, why didn't they just ring the ambulance when Sarah fell down the stairs or whatever happened to her? You know, it's been unable to establish the cause of death how did they describe it? It was something like an explosion of injuries, you know, this catastrophic injuries that she sustained over time. Maybe his English isn't as good as hers. Who knows why he's not reading it out, because he is the father. Let's listen to it one more time.
I'd like to talk about Sara. Sara's death was an incident. Our family in Pakistan are severely affected by all that is going on. All the media have been...
Our family in Pakistan are severely affected by all that's going on. Then she goes on to blame the media. Yeah, you know, not once in this time does she say, "Oh, poor Sarah, we're heartbroken about what happened to Sarah, our little girl, how we miss her." You know, nothing. Just their poor family. They can't get food for the kids now. They haven't mentioned nothing about Sarah and what Sarah's been through, what that little girl suffered. You know, in her own home where she should have been safe. Now they've got to have a fair trial, just like everybody's entitled to a fair trial. It's interesting. I'm going to be following this trial closely, I can assure you, and I'll be giving you updates as it goes along. What they're going to come out with, you know, how they're going to make an excuse Sarah's death. Yeah, I don't know the brass face of these people. If they want to cooperate, you don't come on the news doing a video. Contact the police.
Have been giving wrong statements and making up lies. Imran did
Yes,
not
the
give a
media.
statement that Sara fell down the stairs and broke her neck.
The media murdered Sara, obviously.
This was spread through a Pakistani media outlet. All of our family members have gone into hiding as everyone is scared for their safety. The kids are unable to attend school as they're afraid to leave the house.
Who says we've all gone into hiding because everyone is scared for their safety. Everyone's scared for their safety. What about Sarah's safety? Don't know about you, but I'm not feeling much sorrow for them or much empathy for them. You know, this makes me so angry. Might be an empath, but do you know what? When people just are so horrible, you know, it's all about them, what they're suffering. Where is the empathy for Sarah and what she went through? Just ridiculous. Seems like going into hiding is not going to keep them safe, is it? Because Sarah wasn't very safe living in that family unit. Seems like they'd be a lot safer if they came out of hiding.
No one is leaving the house. The groceries have run out and there is no food for the kids as the adults are unable to leave their homes out of fear of safety. That is why we have gone into hiding. Lastly, we are willing to cooperate with the UK authorities and fight our case in court.
So,
firstly, I would like to talk about Sara.
One more time.
Sara.
Okay. So this is where we are. So the case is starting. It's starting this week. I wonder if Sarah's mother will be there in court, Olga. I feel for her, but as I said, I don't know why Sarah was taken away from her and given to the father. No idea. But yeah, Sarah was left to the mercy. And I don't know where this guy comes into it all. You know, this is Sarah's father, her stepmother, and this, I believe, is her uncle. Where he comes into it all, I don't know. But they're all being charged with the same thing. May turn out that these two don't, is he the protagonist or is she the protagonist? You know, she was the one that was homeschooling them. Has he come home from work one day and Sarah's been dead and she's done it? I don't know who did it, or did he do it? You know, we just don't know. So that's what the court case is about. But as I say, I will definitely be keeping you updated on it. We just want justice for Sara, don't we? Justice for Sara, please God. Okay, thank you. Hi, now it's me. It's me. I'm going to be me now. Me. Let me see. I'm here. So that video was just coming to an end because I was supposed to have a class, and that's why I kept it short. So anyway, my class has been cancelled, so I'm going to stay on and talk to you guys. So I can talk to you a bit more about it now because I don't have to go off for a class in 20 minutes. So yeah, I'm here. I was always here, but I recorded the video earlier because I thought I would have a class. Anyway, it's been cancelled, which is a shame, of course, but it's good in one way because it means I can still talk to, because I only had an hour. So this case. Now, I'm just going to have a quick look at Sky News to see if they've said anything yet. Because, of course, so the jury was sworn in last week. I don't know how long that took. Now, don't you think it's significant this trial is being held in the Old Bailey, so it's not being held in the local Crown Courts or whatever. It's a big trial. It's being held at the Old Bailey. It's expected to last 9 weeks. So there must be a lot of evidence to present. Now, they'll be pleading not guilty. I would imagine they will plead not guilty. And they'll come up with some story about how Sara died by an incident. That's what she called it, wasn't it? An incident or an accident. But the thing is, what they can't dispute is the forensic evidence, which the thing that worries me a little bit is that they haven't been able to establish Sara's cause of death because she had so many injuries. So if they can't establish a cause of death, I think it makes it a little bit harder to go for murder, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't know if they'll plea bargain. Yeah, Riley's all curled up. He's been really clingy lately, Riley. Gosh, if I stood up now, he'd be stood up as well. When I move, he moves. He's either at my feet, he's on the chair next to me. Don't know why that is really, because he seems like ever so clingy. He's always a bit of a wuss though, Riley. He is a bit of a mummy's boy, you know. Okay, so now I can actually have a look at some articles with you and talk about it in a bit more depth, because I've got time that I didn't think I had. So let me get up some of the articles I was looking at earlier. So yeah, poor Sara. So it seems like when she was with her mum Olga, she was she was being brought up in a Western way. And Mum Olga did. Let's go on to these photos actually, because I know I've showed a couple of photos, but I can show. Now I've got time. I can show more of them. So this is how Sara would have been dressed in the last. She was dressed more traditionally Muslim, like in these photos. The police have released those because they're asking for, any information from anybody that might have seen Sara, the interaction between the family in the weeks leading up to Sara's death. Anyone that may have seen that. Now we can see she's got like dressed in a more Western way here. Here's some artist impressions of the accused in the dock, etc. There's going to be a lot of information coming out now. And the police are asking for people. Oh, let me show you the house so you can see this. So here they are, the 3 accused. I think these are their passport photos by the look of it. Let me just, yeah, here's their passport photos by the look of it. Yeah. So this is when they were looking for them. So Irfan, the father, he's 41. And Baynash Batul, she's only 29. So she's quite a lot younger than him. Or she was when last year. So you can add a year on now. And Faisal Shazad Malik, he was 28 last year. So he's 29 now. So the father's the older one, isn't he? You feel like the father's just got this evil emanating from him. Imagine being in his taxi. This is why I don't get taxis. I hate getting in taxis on my own. I never get a taxi on my own. I'd have to be absolutely desperate before I would get in a taxi alone. And my worst fear would be getting in a taxi and he'd be driving, because it just looks evil. I'm sorry, but it does. It's just something in his eyes. So this is last year when they were looking for them. And let's remember, the day before Sara was found, they went to Pakistan. Which is something that you don't do if you're innocent, do you? You don't, your daughter dies by accident or incident. You don't, book a flight and go off to Pakistan with his with his brother. Oh, it's his brother, yeah. And 5 children aged between 1 and 13 years old. Now, for a start, those tickets must have cost a fortune. Where did he get the money from? Where did he get the money from? They've, you know, it seems like the family probably, oh, look at her little face. I think the family must have helped them. Oh, these are their flight tickets, aren't they? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I haven't seen these myself before. I'm just finding this for the first time. So who's Mr. Riaz? Ah, so the travel agent that sold the tickets, Nadim Riyadh. These 8 tickets in total were booked by Sarah's father for 3 adults and 5 children and paid for by his brother, Mr. Malik, at a cost of around £5,100. A lot of money to just have hanging around, isn't it? And the travel agent said he had a phone call initially with Mr. Sherif. His voice sounded totally normal. On the 8th of August at 10 p.m, I received a call. Irfan said he wanted to book a ticket to Pakistan. He said his cousin passed away. I told him to send me passport pictures. And Mr. Sharif sent these to Mr. Riaz on WhatsApp, followed by text that read as soon as possible. I asked him one way or return. He said one way. So they weren't expecting to come back. He added, whenever I look at my daughter, she is 7 years old, I feel very sad for Sarah. I feel pain. You know, this is what always happens in these cases. Everybody else ends up being upset and feeling guilty, or, you know, people will say, oh, I should have known, or they should have, you know, nice, normal people feel guilty, feel bad, even though they haven't done anything wrong. All he's done is sold the tickets to these twonks. He's showing more emotion for someone who's not even his own daughter than that woman that was just talking, the step mother. She never mentioned Sarah once, did she? She never mentioned, all she said was what happened to Sarah was an incident. You know, she never said, oh, we're heartbroken about losing Sarah. Oh, poor Sarah, you know, we broke our heart to leave her. You know what they did? They put her in her pajamas and put her in the bed. That's where she was found. So they took, well, whether she was already in her pajamas when she died, but Sarah was in her bed, in her pajamas. That's where she was found. So they did that. They put her there, unless she just died overnight in the night or whatever. Left her on her own. How could you leave your child there on its own, even deceased? You know, you just couldn't, could you? And then go off, and then the next day phone that. I mean, this is just, to me, just it's worse than even the death of Sara, as is the treatment of her afterwards, leaving her like that and just, you know, fleeing and oh. So, as I say, unfortunately, there is no cause of death been established. I hope that doesn't affect the murder charge. Anyway, so the police worked with the Pakistan authorities, even though there isn't a formal extradition treaty between Britain and Pakistan. They did work together. Now, this is the house. Now, this is, you know, you look at these and look at that. I mean, it looks like a lovely house. Flowers in the garden, well looked after. You know, it's again one of those places that you just wouldn't think these sort of things could happen, would you? It all looks, all the normality. You know, what we saw yesterday, that horrible woman, Virginia, who'd killed her parents and lived with them for 4 years in a house. How many houses hide these disgusting secrets, you know, these foul secrets? It just makes you wonder. Hi, Jojo. Yeah, it just makes you wonder. You walk past these houses that look, you know, that look normal. Yeah, I'll be thinking that every house I walk past now. You just don't know. do you? You just do not know when you walk past a house what's going on in it. Look at that house. You couldn't imagine a more innocent looking house, could you? As I say, looked after, flowers in the garden, just, looks, and all the time there was a little girl in there. I doubt very much that the other children were escaping without injuries. Now, maybe it wasn't the father that was doing these injuries. It may have been the stepmother. Maybe she was jealous of Sara because Sara, of course, wasn't her child. Maybe she was jealous of the ex-wife, the Polish woman. That happens, doesn't it? But it doesn't matter who did it, really, in a way, because they all went together and they all knew Sara was dead. So really, they're all in the same position, aren't they? Who actually killed her, or who was actually doling out all those injuries to her, we don't know. But whether that will come out. Now, it may be that in the trial they start turning against each other. So far, I don't think they have. Well, not that we've heard. But it may be when they realise, as the trial progresses, and they realise that, this is serious. They're looking at life in prison at the end of the day. And I hope it will be a long life in prison, because of the fact it's a 10-year-old girl who sustained injuries, and the fact that they fled. All those things will go to making their sentence bigger, as long as it's established that it was murder. So as the trial progresses and it starts to look more like, that there's going to be a guilty verdict, maybe they will start turning against each other then, even if they're not doing it already. Let's hope so. So Mr. Sherif and Mr. Malik both had Pakistani passports, and it was understood that Miss Batul and the 5 children have Pakistani niqab cards, which is the national identity card for overseas Pakistanis, which allows them to travel to Pakistan without visas. So they'd only moved in April. So neighbours said a Pakistani family with 6 very young children had moved in April, and flowers have been left outside, with one message reading, "Sweet girl, I'm sorry your sparkle was put out too soon." So police were expected to remain at the property. I bet they'll have been through that house with a forensic fine tooth comb. I don't know if it's council house. I don't know if they bought that house. I don't know, whatever. It looks very well looked after, that's for sure. The police will have been through that house with a fine tooth comb, won't they? They really will have been through it with a fine tooth comb. Okay, let's see what other articles we can find about it. Hi, Chumba. So let's see if we can find out. There was some other information. I had a lot more articles, but of course I didn't realise I would have more time because my class has been cancelled. I've got more time to discuss it with you. Oh, let's see. I like to see the Surrey police and what they say. Oh, this is interesting. So on the Surrey police website, let's have a look at that. So this operation, the investigation into the death of 10-year-old Sara Sherif, is called Operation Unison. This page details all confirmed information released by Surrey Police. We will keep this page updated as the investigation progresses. So, our investigation into the death of 10-year-old Sara Sherif remains ongoing. Sara's body was found on the 10th of August after police were called to an address in Hammond Park, Woking, at around 2:50 a.m. following a 999 call. On arrival, Sarah was found dead inside the property. It's believed that Sarah lived at this address. Again, I know we all sort of have a go at the police and that will have been traumatic, won't it, arriving to find that? An investigation led by Surrey Police and Sussex Police's major crime team was launched to establish the circumstances of Sarah's death, and this remains ongoing. The post-mortem examination, which took place on the 15th of August, did not establish the cause of Sarah's death. And further tests are being carried out. There is no time frame for how long these tests will take. It does worry me that they've not established the cause of death, because then how are they going to prove that it's murder? However, the post-mortem did reveal that Sarah had suffered multiple and extensive injuries, which are likely to have been caused over a sustained and extended period of time. 3 people charged with the murder of 10-year-old Sara Sherif appeared at the Guildford Magistrates Court on Friday the 15th of September. So that was last year. Sarah's father, Irfan Sharif, 41, his partner Baynash Batul, 29, and Irfan's brother Faisal Malik, 28, all appeared at Guildford Magistrates Court, charged with her murder and causing or allowing the death of a child. And all 3 appeared at Central Criminal Court, the Old Bailey, on Thursday 19th of September, and were remanded in custody till the plea trial preparation hearing on the 1st of December. So these again were last year. The trial has been scheduled for 6 weeks, it says here, but in that other article it said 9 weeks, to start on the 2nd of September 2024. Well, it didn't start on the 2nd of September, it's just literally starting this week, which is, of course, the 14th of October, so it got delayed for some reason. Officers continue to appeal for information about Sarah's life and would like to speak to anyone who knew Sarah's mother has been updated on these developments and will continue to be supported by specialist officers. We're also working with our local partners in Surrey to progress the safeguarding review. The Independent Office for Police Conduct has reviewed information from Surrey Police in relation to previous contact with Sara Sherif and are satisfied it does not appear to meet the criteria for a death or injury. Oh, what? So, normally if the police have had some contact with someone, like with Nicola Bulley, that's why there had to be an investigation, because the police had been in contact with Nicola Bulley on the 10th of February, and then by the 27th of January, 10th of January, and by the 27th Nicola disappeared, and then of course she ended up found deceased. So the police had to refer themselves because they'd had contact with Nicola. But here it's saying that the Independent Office for Police Conduct has reviewed information from Surrey Police in relation to previous contact with Sara Sherif and are satisfied it does not appear to meet the criteria for a death or serious injury referral. Well, for fuck's sake, excuse my French, I seem to have been swearing a lot lately. Well, if that doesn't meet the criteria, so you're talking about a girl that they've had previous contact, the girl suffered from injuries over long periods of time, but it doesn't appear to meet the criteria for a death or serious injury referral. Whatever, let's have a look what the criteria is. Honestly, Right. Mandatory criteria for referrals to the... Okay, let's have a look what it says on the government website. Just come back to chat, make sure you're all okay. Okay. Right, so let's see what they say. This is the criteria. So apparently Sarah's case doesn't meet this criteria. So HMRC must refer the following matters to the IOPC under the mandatory referral criteria. A death or serious injury where someone has died or been seriously injured following contact with an officer. A serious assault by an officer, a serious SEX assault by an officer, serious corruption by an officer, a criminal offence committed by an officer, or any relevant offence. What? These are talking about offences by officers. Well, Nicola Bulley wasn't. Is this it? Right, definition of a death or serious injury matter. A DSI matter means any circumstance where a person has died or sustained a serious injury, and it must be this at or before the time of death or serious injury, the person had contact of whatever kind, whether direct or indirect, with a person working for HMRC who is acting in the execution of his or her duties. If they're there is an indication that the contact might have caused, whether directly or indirectly, contributed to the death or serious injury. So, God, talk about word salad. So let's put it in such a way that we can get out of it if we want to. So why was Nicola Bulley referred then? Because Nicola Bulley, the police were in touch with her because of the welfare check on the 10th of January. But was there an indication that the contact might have caused, whether directly or indirectly, the death or serious injury of Nicola Bulley? No, I don't see the difference. So what they're saying is the police had contact with the family, with Sara Sherif or the family in some way. Surely it's exactly the same. How have they excused themselves on that? So the term serious injury means a fracture, a deep cut, a deep laceration, or an injury causing damage to an internal organ or the impairment of any bodily function. Impairment of bodily function can extend to injuries to mental health or psychiatric injuries. A serious psychiatric injury means a medically recognized condition capable of diagnosis or treatment. An example would be serious clinical depression or PTSD. Yeah, so going to all that. So I don't see the difference. If this is the criteria for referrals to the IOPC, surely Sarah's case should have been referred if they'd had some contact with Sarah before she died. Anyway, I don't know, just defeats me. I think they just phrase it in such a way they can get away with it, you know. Right, so it didn't go to the IOPC. And is that all they've got on about Operation Unison? I think that's it. I want to try and find something about Sarah's mother. Yeah. Do I go to the Sun or the BBC? It's like the choice between the devil and the deep blue sea, isn't it? Let's go to the Guardian. It's probably just as bad, to be honest. It's just... So when Olga Sherif went to identify her 10-year-old daughter Sarah at the mortuary, she could barely recognize... Oh, let me just share it. I'm not sharing it, am I? So that's a problem when relationships break down and the children go to live with one parent or the other, the father, the mother. It's the same the other way. You just... You know, when it's out of your hands then, and it must be just so awful. Anyway, she could barely recognize the small battered body dressed in Mickey Mouse pajamas. One of her cheeks was swollen and the other side was bruised. She said in an interview on the Polish television channel TVN, "Even now when I close my eyes, I can see what my baby looked like." So this is before they came back. I just really want to concentrate on what the... I want to see what the mum's got to say. I might end up having to go to the Sun. Let's go to the Irish Sun. So here she is, bless her. Okay, so she separated from Irfan Sherif, Sarah's dad, in 2015, with both Sarah and her brother sent to live with their dad by a family court. So the family court has got some responsibility here. Although the mum had equal rights to see the children, she said this became harder over time. Yeah. Is this her speaking? Don't know what this video is. May not be her. So, Olga previously spoke to the Sun about her frantic attempts to contact Irfan after the tragic discovery that Sarah was dead. She said, "I texted and I called but got nothing, so I tried to get to him through TikTok, but that was turned to private. It was also my friends and my relatives trying to message them, but nobody got anything." And she added, "He says he loves my kids, but he flies away. Doesn't take 5 minutes to fly out of the country. It takes hours to sort everything out." So many questions with no answers. So she's 36. She married Irfan in 2009 before the relationship broke down in 2017. And she said her little girl's behaviour started to change once living with her father, who had custody of both of them. Is this a video that shows... What is this video? Why is it not playing? It's not playing, so I don't know what it is. Well, this is the Polish...
Teraz dla każdego, niezależnie od wieku,
We'll get
w
Polish
Express
advert.
mamy do 50% zniżki na soczewki okularowe, w tym progresywne, i kompleksową opiekę w ramach pakietu Vision Care Plus. To jest wyrób medyczny. Używaj go zgodnie z instrukcją używania lub etykietą.
Saro, byłam sąsiadką i nie widziałam. Tak mi przykro. Lataj wysoko, anioł.
So this is a Polish report. Sorry, it's in Polish, so I can't translate it for you, but it'd be interesting to see it, the way it was reported in Poland.
To jedna z kartek zostawionych tutaj przez mieszkańców małej miejscowości pod Londynem, którymi wstrząs...
So again, looking at him, it's a beautiful house, isn't it? It's a nice house. Just shows you just never know what's going on behind closed doors, do you?
Snęła śmierć 10-letniej Sary.
Update on the death of the 10-year-old Sara Sherif.
Gdyby mi ktoś nie powiedział, że to jest Sara, to bym w życiu nie uwierzyła. Ja nie mogę tego zrozumieć. Nie mogę.
Ciało dziewczynki znaleziono w tym właśnie domu, tuż po tym, jak jej ojciec w pośpiechu wyjechał z Wielkiej Brytanii.
Oh. Anyway, just so very sad. Okay, so that's it. So that's the story so far about Sarah. Let's just see about if I can find anything more about her trial. So it's all just about the trial due to get underway. Let's have a look at this. Yeah, so it's just saying the trial of 3 members of the same family over the murder of 10-year-old Sara Sherif is due to start on Monday. It's more or less just repeating what we know. So as soon as we get any updates, I will be letting you know about the updates. Now, as far thank you, Sefi. Sefi gifted 5 memberships while we've been on air, which is very kind. And they've gone to Silver, Dry Spell, Kieran, Ninchi and Karen. Thank you so much. So tonight, and that's opportune because tonight is the members live, the Carry On Chatting members live. And what I'm going to talk about tonight, it's a little bit can link to this story and of what you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. So imagine if you bought a house and then you're going through all the stuff to throw it out and sell it and try and make what money you can from what this house you've bought, you know, because sometimes you can make money from metal that's left, you know, it's a big house with loads of crap left in it. And one of the things that's left in there is a freezer. And then in that freezer is a head and a set of hands that turns out to be the head and hands of the young girl who lived there, who's not been seen since 2015. So the house you've bought turns out to be, you know, a murder house. This is what's just recently happened in Colorado. And a poor young girl has been who was never reported missing, 16-year-old girl that was never reported missing, has been, well, her head and her hands have been found in the freezer of her home and only discovered because the house was sold. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight in the members live. Just there's no end to these stories, is there? You know, it's like, but they're not stories, they're real. They're real. You know, truth is definitely stranger than fiction. I think once you start to look at true crime, once you start looking at true crime, there's just no end, is there, to the different sort of stories. And then it's hard to watch sort of, what's the word? It's hard to watch crime drama then, because crime drama, you just think, oh, you know, there's much worse things than that can happen for that, you know, than that. It's like, it just never ends, does it? Okay, so I will see you tonight for the members, if not before, you never know, because if there's any developments in any of the cases that we're looking at, you know, I will be back on if I can. I've got some classes. I'm trying to think. I've got a couple of classes later on, and I'm glad I was able to share this extra bit of time with you, because I should have been in class really right now, but I'll be in class later. Any developments on anything, I'll be back. Now, please don't forget to subscribe. This is a free way you can help my algorithm, help out my channel, completely free. Also, don't forget to press like. I've been looking at, it's not only my channel, but I think a lot of channels, and I've been really trying hard now to like videos that I watch on YouTube, because when you know, I was looking at, there was a video by Greg Hughes, and he had about, you know, he gets a lot more views than I do, and he had thousands of views on this video, but he only had like about 200 likes. I thought people just don't think to like sometimes. It can't be because they all didn't like it. I mean, maybe some people watch it and they don't like it, and that's why they don't press the like. But the percentage is so big, I don't, and they, you know, people come back to your channel. So I think they just either they forget to do it at the beginning, or they forget to do it at the end, or they try and do it in the middle, and then YouTube throws them out of the chat, which it does sometimes do. I would always recommend like at the beginning or like at the end, especially in a live. If you're watching a video, it's different. I think you can just press like if you're on the phone. Of course, it's harder when you're watching on the telly to press like. But I really think it is important because it's free, and you do help, you know, the channels that you follow, you help with their algorithm, and they need, you know, with YouTube, how the way they are, we need all the help we can get. So you don't feel somehow, most of the time, you don't feel like YouTube's really trying to help you. Certainly not if you're a small channel. You know, they don't seem to really try and help out. They seem to hinder more than anything. But yes, so don't forget to leave your fingerprint on the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're in a position to, why not consider becoming a member and joining our members live tonight. Okay, thank you so much, all of you that were here in chat. Thank you for those of you who are just watching. Some people like to lurk, they don't like to come into chat, and also some of you will be watching on replay. So thank you so much. I'll see you soon, as always, in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you.